welcome to the second review of the evening. And as per the recent tradition, this is a Nintendo Switch review. The game is Sagebrush. It's a, let's say, first-person narrative adventure game um, in which you explore the remnants of a death cult base. And here's Gollix to tell us more about it.
Yeah, there's not really a whole lot to. I mean, aside from a lot of this game is just it's the thematic experience of the game and like finding what's going on. There are audio logs from a cultist named Lillian talking about her experience. There's a whole bunch of notes and stuff from the various cultists. There were not a ton of them, so you can kind of get reads on some of their individual personalities and stuff about their like. But yeah, it's just this big compound out in the middle of, nowhere, somewhere probably in the Midwest.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess compared to like an actual, what I would call an adventure game, this is kind of on the walking simulator end, because there's not really, and this is probably an odd phrasing to say this with, there's not really much extrinsic reason to solve the puzzles aside from that they're there to be solved, and most of the puzzles are just like finding keys and then opening doors with them, so they're not like super complicated puzzles either. Apparently I haven't gotten that far, but at some point you have to dig up a key, but that's still just getting a key based on like a description of the location, so it's still not exactly complicated,
Mm-hmm.
There is like, it's a nice creepy atmosphere, and it's sort of like exploring like why these people were wanting to come here and stuff is interesting, but that's like the only reason to do it, really, There's no, like, you're not under any kind of threat, you're not being chased. If there is any kind of enemy or frankly anything else alive in this whole area, it's pretty late in the game. So it is an interesting experience. I think it's worth having, especially since this is a pretty inexpensive game. It's $6. And the graphics are pretty.
Yeah.
It's a little bit pixely, but in a it feels like it's intended to be that way, not that it's like just low res.
Yeah, it's in according to the bullet points here, it's intended to be in lo-fi 3D.
Yeah. So yeah, it's full 3D. There are buttons for like getting your inventory, which again is pretty much all keys. Looking at the map of the compound once you get it. Using the flashlight once you get batteries. And I think you pick up the flashlight pretty early, but I don't remember. That was a while ago. Unfortunately, I haven't had a lot of time at a stretch to sit down and play this, which it's not like this game is super long. Most of the things I've seen said the whole game is about 2 hours long, and I'm almost an hour into it. So,
Right.
It's kind of creepy. I've had to like, just because of me, like when you turn on the generator in the meeting hall, there's a record player that starts playing, and that kind of creeped me out for a while, but it's just a record player. I guess if you're interested in like cult, like what it would be like to have been in a cult and learning about like how cult theology works, this is very much a Christian apocalyptic cult of the sort of which there are many, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, this is a while after everyone committed suicide. I assume the player is supposed to be associated with one of the people, probably Lillian, based on the focus, but I haven't gotten any like specific references to like that because you don't have any of your own voice dialogue that I've seen. There is voice dialogue on the audio tapes. Otherwise, I think everything else is pretty much written. Do you guys have any questions?
Not especially. I mean, no. Especially since, well, I mean, the playthrough is incomplete.
Yeah, I can't talk about the end, but I probably wouldn't anyway because I feel like that would be spoilers, and that this is.
I'm just saying,
I apologize for not completing it because I
mean, how many
do
times
feel
do we
like
complete games on this?
not that often, but this one's supposed to be pretty short. I feel like I should have, but
Fair enough. Like,
it's an interesting experience, but that's about all it is. Is if you want games to be fun or to have like be presented with a reason why you're doing the thing you're doing, this game doesn't really do that. You just have to accept that you're investigating this.
Fair enough.
So yeah, I would generally give it a recommendation as long as you're not looking for a game that has like a lot of action. The most action you get here is remembering that there's a run button, which is really helpful because this is a fairly spread out compound.
True enough. Yeah. All right. Anything else?
I can't think of that much else.
All right.
It's a short and fairly simple game, and going into more of it would just be like talking about the different motivations of the different cultists in more specific terms, which, as opposed to just saying, which I think is the point, that part of the experience of the game. I mean, if I told you all stuff that was in the text points, I would literally be telling you more than half of the experience of playing the game.
Indeed. All right, then. Well, on that note, I think that'll conclude the review of Sagebrush here. Be sure to tune in after the break as we review The Church in the Darkness.